Okay, hey guys. I thought I'd start a little bit earlier today because I clearly did not do things correctly on Monday. We were supposed to start Unit 3 on Monday. I spoke about that in my lesson on Monday, but then I didn't make the Unit 3 module available to you guys yet on Monday. So I was wondering why nobody was handing anything in. But if you see that happen, feel free to email me and let me know that I forgot something. But anyway, that's available now. I've got posted Unit 3 activities 1 through 4 now for you. As I said, Activity 1 doesn't have an official assignment. Activity 3 actually doesn't have an official assignment either. So there's nothing to hand in for Activity 3. We've just got work for Activity 2 and Activity 4 to do now. And everything really is cultural issues in international business. We're going to be talking about that for most of this unit. I believe Activity 8 is all about culture as well. So we'll be going back to that. I need you to read Chapter 7, probably 7.3 would be the best for you to look at for this lesson. So have a look at that. And as I said, Activities 1 through 4. I've got Activity 2 and the first part of Activity 4 are going to be due on Monday, and the second part of Activity 4 is due Wednesday. Also, I want to make sure you don't miss the discussion on Activity 4. The last assignment of Activity 4 is actually a discussion. Okay, so make sure to read the case study there and post to that discussion. Okay. Here we go. So today we're talking about real marketing, cultural issues in international business. This, as I said, corresponds to chapter 7.4 in the textbook. Okay, so here we go. What businesses need to ask themselves before going international is if you were new to a country and knew little about the language, what would you think of the following products? What would you think the following products were or were made from? So here's just a couple of funny examples: Gatorade, cat food, hot dogs. I've got a couple of links in there that I'll have you guys click, and you guys can check out those videos on your own. I'll post the PowerPoint assignment, the PowerPoint presentation. And also, I'll mention, you've probably noticed on the home page now, there's a widget along the right-hand side. It was actually Parveen's idea to organize the lessons all in one place. You'll see all the Unit 1 lessons, and then Unit 2 lessons are posted in a row there now. I haven't finished uploading everything, but just so that if you want to go back to PowerPoint lessons, you don't have to actually search through the news. Okay, so one of the biggest mistakes that companies make when going international is they look at a market or a potential market, and they don't actually value the potential that there is in that market based on, or they base the potential on what the local market finds to be valuable. So this comment here, if 1% of China's population was to purchase your product, you would have sold 10 million items. And this type of product draws businesses into China. So poor market research, however, leads to failure of many of these businesses. Poor understanding of the language or culture can lead to disaster. And here's some examples of that. So Coca-Cola, actually I've got a whole bunch. I'll let you read some of these, but Coca-Cola, the name in China was first read, you can try to pronounce this yourself, Kikukela, which means bite the wax tadpole or female horse stuffed with wax. Thought that was pretty funny, but anyway, that's just depending on the dialect in China. So Coke then researched 40,000 characters to find a phonetic equivalent, translating into happiness in the mouth. So next one here, General Motors, Chevrolet, Novacar in Spanish. In Central and South America, Nova actually means it doesn't go. The Dairy Association's huge success with the campaign Got Milk in Mexico actually translates to Are You Lactating? American t-shirt makers printed I Saw the Pope, El Papa shirts to promote the Pope's visit, and it read I Saw the Potato. Anyway, there's a number of these here. Braniff Airlines, Flying Leather meant flying naked. Frank Perdue's chicken slogan, it takes a strong man to make a tender chicken. In Spanish, that translated to, it takes an aroused man to make a chicken affectionate. I thought that was a funny one. There's Colgate's. Anyway, you can read through these last few. Oh, also, I'll post another link. I think I might have posted it at the beginning of the semester, but all the different flavors of Pepsi. Pepsi's actually, they've actually led the charge in product modifications around the globe when they went international.
You might be able to sign in as a student because you're still a student, right? Oh, then you're just, of course, legal.
Okay, so 3 interrelated types of marketing errors. The main 3.
No worries. Good.
I'm actually doing a live lesson. It'd be great if it can be a little quieter, though. Like, seriously, I'm doing a video right now. Yeah.
Hey, guys, he's doing a live lesson video. So calm it down. Shouldn't too much chatter when you're just typing and searching. Okay. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Okay, so the 3 interrelated types of marketing errors. Number 1 is miscalculation of composition, size, and distribution channels of the target market. As I said, one of the biggest errors are just miscalculating based on the size of a potential market. Like 1% of the population of China would be 10 million potential sales, right? Number 2, lack of research in branding, packaging, and timing of product introduction. Good examples of that would just be entering a new product into the market during a global recession or one that affects the specific target market. Number 2, companies selling toasters in China. Like, again, just know your market. You're selling toasters in China, you're not going to have much success because they don't eat a lot of toast in China. Their staple of choice is rice, right? And then number 3, misunderstanding the culture, customs, and appropriate advertising and promotion among potential consumers. So just like those 10 or 12 examples that I just given, language being the biggest barrier there. Okay, so again, size and composition of the market. Companies overestimate the demand in a country just based on the population size and seeing a huge potential there. But again, doing business in China, it's very different from Canada. Surveys show 40% of businesses in China are actually making a profit only. So the real customer population of China, or consumer population of China, is only 275 million. Not the 1 billion, and they do not have the hard currency to spend on products. So companies need to make sure to answer 2 questions before importing or exporting. Number 1 is, will anyone buy it? And if yes, then is anyone else already selling a similar product in that foreign market or in that new market? Okay, so now we're going to talk about branding, packaging, and labeling being one of the bigger cultural issues. Packaging for imported products must conform to any Canadian labeling requirements. I put this little graphic here about fish sticks. I don't have all the, I didn't add all the different labels that are included here, but all these arrows are just pointing out different issues that could pose potential problems for companies that are shipping into foreign markets in their home packaging. Different markets have different packaging requirements. And of course, there are many specific Canadian labeling requirements, and I'll list them on the next slide. But the labeling requirements for food products, they might make foreign exporters rethink entering the Canadian market because they're so stringent. The labeling requirements have been established in accordance with consumer packaging and labeling, the Consumer Packaging and Labeling Act in Canada, the Weights and Measures Act, and the Canadian Agricultural Products Act. So one of the roles of officials of the Canada Customs and Revenue Agency at our borders, thank you, is to ensure that products entering Canada are labeled correctly. So products that are incorrectly labeled can be impounded until labeling problems are corrected. So again, must research all areas before entering a market and make sure to meet country standards. We began talking about standards at the end of Unit 2, but of course, the Packaging and Labeling Act of Canada would be considered one of Canada's standards that foreign investors and foreign exporters need to research before exporting into Canada. So here's a list of prepackaged foods and beverages, what labeling requirements we have here in Canada for them. You can read through all this. So country of origin, bilingual labeling, of course, all packaging needs to have French and English labeling, product identity declaration, net quantity needs to be metric, minimum type of font size relative to display surface, list of ingredients, company ID, shelf life. So it should have a due date or a best before date, needs to be visible on the packaging, and then any artificial flavors when used along with natural flavoring agents. So having just contains natural flavors isn't enough. Any artificial flavors need to be listed on the packaging as well. Again, these are Canadian standards. So these are for imports into Canada, and what we need to research when exporting into foreign markets. We need to research standards in those new markets. So colors, pictures, and symbols, they could mean different things in different cultures. I've just got an example here in China in 2007. All advertising which included pictures of pigs, because 2007 was the year of the pig, they were all banned. So any packaging that included a graphic containing a pig was banned from being imported into China. So this was to maintain harmony with the country's Muslim population of around 2%. And remember, 2% of 1 billion is, a large part of the market. The ban included pictures of sausage and pork, and even advertising that included an animated cartoon pig. Slogans, as I said, slogans don't always transfer language as well either, and we went over a lot of that already. Values, norms, and customs need to have extensive attention. Okay, so MacDo is actually McDonald's in Paris, because apparently they have a hard time saying McDonald's there. So I'll have you read this. You can read through this. Most of this information is also contained in the content of Activity 4. And I found this specifically interesting, just that, a lot of tourism and is centered around French cuisine, actually. And the French themselves actually prefer, well, according to these statistics, fast food. So anyway, you can read through this, there's a short case study on MacDo in the textbook as well, but have a look at the content section in Activity 4. Walt Disney in France also, Euro Disney. There's another case study for you to look at there. And I've posted a link here, the original Euro Disney promo from 1991. So have a look at this as you go through the lesson. Okay, and then I just speak a little bit about disappearing diversity. We're going to cover this again all the way 4 activities from now on activity 8. But because international business is creating an increasingly global culture, most nations do welcome international trade, but many nations are concerned about disappearing diversity and losing some of their culture. So there's many similarities between nations, and profit being the motive in most of them. Small competitors need to still find a way to be different, as multinational companies have created global markets for their products. So new products that are appearing in non-traditional places are one of the reasons why diversity is disappearing. So 30 years ago, just a question to ask yourself, how many sushi restaurants were there in Windsor, and how many do you see now? Immigration, of course, is also a factor in countries' culture. So in Canada especially, it enhances our culture. Canada is very unique in the world because of our acceptance of immigration. There's many commonalities regardless of culture, like family, work, the things that we like to do in our free time and our leisure. But media connects the world and makes the world a much smaller place by way of movies, magazine, internet, television. This South African radio, YFM, it's a radio station. Here, I've posted a link to it, and it's actually a great radio station. Good for live streaming if you're ever looking for something. But anyway, if you copy this link or click on this link here in the lesson, you'll see what kind of music that they're listening to in South Africa. And you'll see, as I said, media connecting the world. There's a lot more commonalities than you may think. So culture is essential in defining people, but diversity is celebrated, and we're increasingly aware of how similar we are globally. This is, as I said, very important to research diversity and culture when entering any new markets, and oftentimes it can be the straw that breaks the camel's back whether or not companies are successful when they choose to make that leap. So that's about it for the PowerPoint. As I said, have a look through Activity 1. Activity 1 is, I mentioned the other day, it's a crossword, but it's difficult. I recommend just leaving that until the end of the unit and using that as a study tool instead of trying to attack that right now, because a lot of the terms that really shouldn't be posted first. A lot of the terms you won't recognize until we make our way through the rest of the unit. Activity 2 has a couple of quick assignments for you to do, but they're very interesting. And then, as I said before, make sure not to miss that discussion assignment in Activity 4, at the end of Activity 4. Okay, thank you.